Is it even worth it to sell on Poshmark US from Canada? Let's unpack. Hello, my name is Danica and I'm a part-time reseller. From the intro, you know that I am selling on Poshmark US from Canada. I made a video like 2 years ago on how I managed to sell on Poshmark US from Canada. I will link it up here. It is still one of my most watched videos. So I wanted to do an update on how things are going selling on the US platform from Canada. So to start, I am in Calgary. I resell part-time, and I was watching Manish's State of the Posh Union, Posh Fest 2020, and I had known that it was possible, but I didn't know what all the pieces were to get this in place. But Manish went over the numbers of what the market is in the US and how many active accounts there were, and I was like, holy moly, what am I doing here? This is something I need to jump on. I'm losing money by not selling on Poshmark US from Canada. At that time, I was laid off from work. This must have been October 2020, and I had not worked since April 2020. So I was a few months into my layoff, so I was reselling full-time at that time. I was reselling on Poshmark Canada full-time. I was also cross-listing to eBay, I think, kind of more during my layoff period, and I just realized I need to get on Poshmark US. So I asked my friend Carly. She is Shop When Pigs Fly on Instagram. I knew she was in the same province as me. I knew she was in Alberta and that she was also selling on Poshmark US, and I asked her about 1,000 questions. So I will spare her and me. I still get a lot of DMs on how I do it, and I will just like copy and paste the video link from my YouTube to the DMs, and usually that answers all the questions that anyone has. But I wanted to do an update because it's been 2 years and it's been a roller coaster. So first, if you haven't watched that video and you're interested on selling on Poshmark US from Canada, I linked it. Go watch that first. I have all the information you need to successfully open a Poshmark US account. Some of the most commonly asked questions I still get after someone's watched that video is, can I use the same email? And that is no. You need to go to poshmark.com, not .ca, and sign up for a brand new closet using a completely different email. You will have 2 separate closets. Another question I get a lot is about cross-border shipping where someone lives. When I made that video, I had such good intentions of finding like all the cross-border couriers available in Canada, and I had so many dead ends. I emailed so many places that just never emailed me back. I think the most common ones now are the one that I use, which is DYK Post, which is connected to Montana Mailbox. They have offices in Edmonton, Calgary, Lethbridge, and Richmond, BC. I know that Chit Chats and Stallion Express exist kind of Canada-wide, but I don't know if they allow the use of prepaid labels because some of them require that you purchase a label from them. There is one in Manitoba. I think it's called Red Runner. I don't have experience with them. It actually really surprises me there aren't more options because it's something like 80% of the population of Canada lives within like a 2-hour drive from the US border. So it's like crazy to me that there are not more options for that in Canada, but a lot has changed in the last 2 years. I would highly suggest, if this is something you're interested in doing, that you just in Google put US cross-border shipping and then where you live, and then kind of try and find some leads. You can use like US shipping from Canada, and then wherever you live, and then maybe we can start a thread in the comments with the companies that you find. So that being said, it is a lot of work to get your closet set up. You need to make a new closet. You need to find a cross-border courier that you can use where you live. You need that is reliable and cheap. Like the one I use is like $1 per pound per package to send over the border. You need to set up a US bank account, and not like a US money bank account in Canada. You need to have like US bank details. I use wise.com. It used to be called TransferWise. In my last video, I would have been using TransferWise. It is now just called Wise, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. They do, I think, offer, if you use my affiliate link or like my referral link, I think you get a fee-free transaction or something if you transfer over $300, something like that. And what else do you need to do? You need to like cross post everything. So what I have used to cross list everything in my closet is a tool called Prime Lister. I kind of go back and forth. I am like very fickle with automation. I have used so many automation tools. I did do a video on this recently, so make sure you check my channel. And I think the thumbnail says, am I done with bots? Because honestly, I'm like feeling a lot of things about automation these days. But okay, so to run my US closet, I was using Prime Lister. Well, to start, I had no automation. I was just selecting my pictures on my laptop and dragging and dropping them into Poshmark.com, dragging and dropping them into Poshmark.ca, writing my description and my title on one tab, and then like copy and pasting it to the next one, and then just listing it. Does it take a little bit more time? Yes. Is it free? Yes. My strategy when I first started reselling on Poshmark US from Canada, I already had an established Canadian Poshmark closet. So I was like, I'm just gonna take my highest priced items and just see how they do on Poshmark US. And then going forward, I'll just cross-list everything. It does make things a little complicated because I need to like go in and delete stuff once it sells on the other platform. I think Prime Lister, I think it can do it for me. I don't know. OneShop apparently can do it for you. I don't know. I don't have those things set up. So you do have to stay on top of that. And especially since I leave home for 4 days at a time for work, sometimes I like forget to check. And I have definitely sold things on one platform, forgot to delete it, and sold it on another platform. So things do get complicated. That is something you need to keep in mind, is you have to be really organized. Also, when it comes to filing taxes, I am not, disclaimer, beep, 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 I am not a tax official. I'm not an accountant. I'm not like, I'm just telling you what I do. I actually pay an accountant to do my taxes for me. So as far as I understand, Canada and the US have an agreement. As long as I claim the income I make on Poshmark US in my Canadian income tax claim, that's fine, and I do. I keep tabs of everything that I purchased to resell and how much I paid for it and how much it sold for. I'm not going to make a video on how I even do my taxes because it's so complicated. I think I do things the hard way a lot of times in my life in general. A theme of my life is there an easy way to do things? Is there a complicated way to do things? Let me do it literally the worst way, just for nothing. Okay, so tax-wise, there is also something new since I recorded that video. Poshmark.com is now asking for some kind of tax number when you have sold over $600 worth of items on the platform. Once you hit like $600 made on Poshmark.com, it asks you for some kind of tax credential. They never asked me for mine. I did not get the email that was like, we need this information before we can send you your next shipping label. I emailed them before I hit the threshold and I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm getting kind of close and I don't want to have any disruptions in my shipping labels. So is there any way to just like bypass that now? And they said, no, let us know when you get the email and we'll bypass it then. And then I just never got it. And I've made over $600 on Poshmark.com this year. So if you get that email, you can just ask Poshmark support. Just tell them, I am selling on Poshmark US from Canada. I do not have this information. Can you please bypass that for me? And they'll do it. There are more complicated ways of doing it from what I've seen on the Facebook groups, but that seems like the easiest way to do it for me. There is like a way to get that number, but you don't need it unless you're like living in the US and selling on Poshmark US, in which case this video is not for you. Well, I mean, you can watch it, but it won't be relevant. Now, that strategy kind of worked, like taking my most expensive items from Poshmark US, Canada, and putting them on Poshmark US. I made some really good sales on Poshmark US when I first opened my closet. Now, it did take a little bit to make my first sale, which kind of robbed my self-confidence because when I started Poshmark Canada, I made my first sale overnight and it was a full price sale, and Poshmark US was like definitely slower and I had to like manually share everything because I didn't know if it was going to be lucrative enough to make sense to pay for automation for Poshmark US. So I was like in there, share. We didn't have the share all button yet, so I was like sharing it all day, every day, just like hoping, sending offers. And then finally, boom, I made my first sale and I was like, okay, this is gonna work. At that time, I did not have a car yet. I didn't have my driver's license yet. DYK, which is the cross-border shipping company that I use, does offer a pickup service for $10. So I used to just wait until I made a few sales where I could justify the $10 and they would come and pick up my parcels and bring them to the warehouse, whatever. Another thing that is annoying is that I have to input all the package details into a manifest for the cross-border courier so that they can get through the land crossing legally. Everything on the truck needs to be accounted for and have paperwork for it, and I hate doing that. So in the last 2 years, I've had my US Poshmark closet like thriving, and I've also had it just be complete crickets. I guess it has been the same on Poshmark Canada as well. Now that I think about it, it's been like so up and down, right? In the last couple years, mostly in the last year. I would say in the last year, things have like really like gone really well and gone like really not well. The other issue I have with Poshmark US is my job. I used to be able to get US layovers pretty easily, and I would just bring packages with me and throw them in the mailbox when I got to the US, but I can't really get to the US much these days. Those layovers go like super senior, so I have to be home, which is fine because I do have that service that I can use. The problem kind of is when I start a trip like on a Monday or a Tuesday or like Wednesday. If I'm gone for 4 days, that means I can't bring my packages until I'm home or the next day. And then if I bring them on like a Friday, they won't ship until Monday, or they won't start tracking until like Monday, because I think they cross the border on Saturdays too. So my shipping time can sometimes be like a long time, and I like to ship like right away. I've never actually gotten a complaint on Poshmark US about my shipping time. I try to be quick if I'm home. If I'm not home, it is what it is. Which reminds me, another thing that I'm really grateful for is I have had cases open on Poshmark US, but I have not lost a case. So when you're shipping cross-border, you need to make so so sure, like extra sure. I mean, you should always make sure that your listings are describing the item as well and as accurately as possible. But when you're shipping cross-border, you want to be like extra sure, because if they open a case and they win a case, this package is now going to be returned to your US address, and then you need to figure out how you're going to retrieve that. My service also offers like shipping the other side, but it would cost me a lot of money to import it. So I just need to like always make like really sure if there's even a possibility of any. If I find like a tiny little speck, I will like cancel the sale, or I will message the person and be like, hey, I found this whatever flaw, I can cancel if you want, I can add more pictures if you want, whatever the case may be. So that is something you like really need to make sure that you are staying on top of, because it would suck. I've talked to someone here who had that happen, and I think she just had the shipping company keep it, and then when it resold, she just had them like slap a new label on it and like send it out for her, I guess. I don't know how that works. I haven't had to do that yet, but who knows, maybe one day it will happen to me. So as of right now, my Poshmark US closet is on vacation mode, but it's just because my sister and her fiance are visiting. I don't want to be like on my computer checking my closet, packing up orders, going to the cross-border shipper, whatever. They're leaving tomorrow. I go back to work tomorrow, so my closet is going to reopen like a couple days later, I think on the 17th, and today is like the 14th. So would I do it again? Absolutely. I think Poshmark US is like such a different beast than Poshmark Canada. It is so different. The items that sell on Poshmark US are so different than what sells on Poshmark Canada, and vice versa. I would suggest, if you sell on Poshmark US from Canada, that you do check comps on both platforms, that you base your comps on your listing based on the platform you're listing it on, because your comps will be way higher on US for some and way lower on US for some. I would also suggest, like I said, making extra sure that any flaws are shown in the photos and described in the description as best as you can, just to avoid any kind of cases and dealing with importing the item back to you. Once everything is set up and you have it figured out, it's pretty seamless. Like, I just list everything twice, and when it sells, I just ship it. It like takes a little bit longer, but once I have a pending balance, I just request it to my US bank account, and then I transfer it from my US bank account to my Canadian bank account, and it takes like a little bit more time to receive the funds. But with the exchange rate right now, I'm like really pushing Poshmark US, because the exchange rate, I think like one US dollar is 1.38 Canadian dollars. So if you sell $100 on Poshmark US, that's $138 in your pocket instead of 100 Canadian. So is it worth the extra trouble? In my opinion, yes. It is definitely something that I keep in my back pocket. I don't always have my US closet open. If I'm feeling overwhelmed with work, or if I'm like, things are really good on Poshmark Canada and like whatnot is kind of like popping off, the first thing I do, like my like what's the expression, like my knee-jerk reaction is to put my Poshmark US closet on vacation mode, because nothing bad happens. I can keep, just keep it there, and then once I'm like able to add that back onto my plate, then I do. It's something that is definitely useful in terms of like extra income. I'm glad that I figured out how to do it, and that I like kind of have it rolling smoothly now. I am using Prime Lister to cross list and also to share both closets now. I was using Posher VA, and I actually absolutely love Posher VA. If they were compatible with Poshmark Canada, I would probably use Posher VA over Prime Lister. it's just easier to use in my opinion, but they're not. So I have used Poshmark VA in the past and really liked it. It'll share your closet for you. It will send offers for you. It will do like everything you needed to do. So I have links for all that in my description if there's like any automation that you need. I have tried them all and I reviewed them all in a video. So make sure you keep your eyes open, or eyes out for that. And I think that's it. I think that's kind of my update. I kind of really wanted to do an updated Poshmark US review just because I know a lot of people are kind of looking into it more too. And yeah, also don't be worried about Poshmark finding out that you have a second closet. Poshmark.ca and Poshmark.com are considered separate platforms. So you're allowed to have one of each. You're not gonna get in trouble. Nothing bad is gonna happen to you if Poshmark finds out. Trust me, the Poshmark Canada team follows me on Instagram. I talk all the time about selling on Poshmark US, Poshmark Canada. Nothing's happened to me, okay? You're fine. Even if you talk about like selling on eBay and whatnot, they know we're selling on like as many platforms as we can. So don't stress about that. Don't worry about it. Get your money. And let me know in the description or in the comments if you have any other questions that I have not answered. I am here to answer them. Maybe I'll throw a question thing on Instagram and see if anyone still does have questions, and I will do a different video about that. But I think I have all my bases covered. The OG video, I think I might as well just put a link of the video in the description. I had a Google sheet that I made too, so maybe I will amend that if there's any changes that need to be made, and attach that to this video too, because I think it's really helpful. It's a detailed checklist of everything you need to do to open a Poshmark US closet in Canada. So with that being said, I will let you go for now, and we'll see you next time. Bye.